The main event starts.
All right, black and white sports supporters. Well, this league by Sophie Cunningham that literally exploded is currently prohibiting licensees from using the Sophie Cunningham point, saying this league deserves to go out of business. Out of business. Make sure you hit subscribe. Good God.
Sophie Cunningham's point at Dewana Bonner didn't stay on a basketball court. It followed her into the UFC octagon with Max Holloway standing right next to her. That's not a normal athlete moment, that's a full crossover cultural event, and I don't think the league has fully clocked what they're sitting on. When a single gesture from a WNBA role player gets bigger pickup than most actual game winners, you don't bury that, you build a marketing calendar around it, which makes what's coming next so much more infuriating.
I read this and was like, you got to be kidding me. The most viral moment of the year that did not include Caitlin Clark getting a fist to her throat was the point by Sophie Cunningham that literally exploded across social media and everywhere else. He showed up, UFC. She was standing in the octagon pointing.
So here's the part that made my jaw hit the floor. Sports business reporter Darren Rovell broke the news that the WNBA Players Association is blocking its own licensees from using the Sophie point, calling it derogatory. Front Office Sports confirmed it, and the union's official line was that they don't monetize player conduct from a confrontation between members. Fine, I get the legal logic. But optically, you're telling me the single most viral image your league produced all year is now radioactive to your own merchandise partners? That's not protecting anybody. That's leaving money on the table during the exact window it's worth the most.
The WNBA Players Association is currently prohibiting licensees from using the Sophie Cunningham point, saying that it is, quote, derogatory. What? What? That is absurd. And if I was Sophie Cunningham, I would be kicking and screaming.
Rewind to why this even matters. This point went mega viral for 2 straight weeks. The White House reposted it, and it's the reason Cunningham ended up in the UFC cage in the first place. She was also the most searched woman in sports last year. That's not a fringe internet moment, that's the biggest organic marketing win the WNBA has had in ages, and it came from a role player, not a max contract star. You'd think that's a gift. Apparently not everyone in the building agrees.
For any WNBA player has been this point, and of course, she pointed at Dewana Bonner. Everybody remember that? That's what happened. She pointed at Dewana Bonner. This thing went mega viral for 2 weeks. The White House posted it. She ended up as a UFC ring girl because of this moment. By the way, again, she was the #1 women's trending athlete in the country last year on Google.
And that's exactly what's making fans lose it. The most viral moment of the year, and the league can't turn it into a single shirt or poster because it got flagged as offensive. Hey, at the union, is this actually true? Because if it is, you're choosing to sit out on the one thing people actually want to buy. I'm not saying that to be dramatic. I'm saying it because that's genuinely the reaction across sports media right now, and it's hard to argue with.
The most viral moment of the year can't get licenses because you got players that were offended by it. Remember all the people online? Oh, that's so disrespectful to black women. And now they won't issue a license over the Sophie point. They just can't get out of their own way. No, they can't. Hey, losers at the WNBA, at the PA, is this true? If it is, You should stay.
There's a broader pattern here too. This league gets accused, fairly or not, of turning almost anything into a bigger storyline than it needs to be, and it hasn't turned a profit in its history. Caitlin Clark is the one who dragged casual sports fans into the tent. When your business decisions keep undercutting your own breakout moments, that's not a media conspiracy against you, that's self-inflicted.
But nobody plays the victim like WNBA players. Everything has got to be about a ism, a phobe, oh my God, white supremacy, something. And this is why this league has never turned a profit. This is why this league, they ventured into the mainstream because Caitlin Clark has pulled people in.
Here's a stat that should embarrass every marketing department in that league office. From a pure reach and publicity standpoint, Sophie Cunningham arguably outperformed every player not named Caitlin Clark last season. Number 2 biggest story in the league, by search traffic alone. And instead of leaning all the way into that, the union's decision effectively puts a lid on the one image driving that attention. If I'm running licensing for this league, I'm furious this wasn't handled better before it became a headline.
Sophie, I'm about to hurt a lot of feelings. Sophie Cunningham is the number 2 biggest star in this league. She's above Asia. She's above Angel. I don't give a shit about the play on the court. That may hurt your feelings. Let your feelings be hurt. Sophie Cunningham, literally, from a publicity standpoint, from a reach standpoint, she's slaying everybody that's not named Caitlin Clark. And these players are so jealous that they cannot help themselves.
People online tried to say this whole story was made up. A fake report. Nothing to see here. Rovell shut that down fast, saying he'd personally seen the rejection memo a brand partner received. So this isn't a rumor. It's documented. Which honestly makes it worse, because now there's a paper trail showing the league actively said no to cashing in on its biggest crossover moment of the year.
I mean, wow. How does DeWanna Bonner have this much power? She quit on the team. This person said, no, they aren't. That's a made-up story. Darren Rovell answered, yes, it's very real. Just spoke to someone with a big company who showed me their rejection. They got a rejection. They sent them a rejection memo is what happened. Wow, that is nuts.
And it's not like fans don't want this. Watch the reaction when kids at Cunningham's basketball camp all lined up to do the signature point for photos. That's the organic demand a marketing team dreams about. Merch practically writes itself from a moment like that. Instead, the league's licensing arm is treating it like a liability instead of the free advertising it actually is.
Scott Agnes put out a story. Every camper gets a photo with Sophie Cunningham, and as you can expect, they all want to do the signature point. So let's look at it right here. Scott Agnes put this out.
You get 1 point and the ball. 1 point and the ball. If it's a common foul,
look at that. The young lady's black. Look at that. I mean, that's awesome. The most viral.
So when the union says no to a license because we consider it derogatory, what they're really saying is they'd rather sit out the biggest earned media win of the year than risk the optics of profiting off a confrontation. I understand the instinct. Protecting players from having an in-game conflict turned into a product is a defensible policy on paper. But defensible on paper and smart business in practice are two very different things, and this league needed the second one a lot more than the first.
When they don't want to allow you to make money, or they're so short-sighted that they won't allow a license or whatever on that moment, they should have had product out, licenses out the next day. And they're telling people, no, you can't use it. We consider it derogatory. This league deserves to go out of business. Out of business.
Businesses shoot themselves in the foot all the time. That's not unique to the WNBA. What is unique is doing it with the single most bankable moment your league has produced in years, at the exact moment national attention is at its peak because of Clark, Cunningham, and everyone orbiting that story. You don't get a second run at a viral moment. Once the window closes, it's gone.
I mean, you've heard of businesses and shooting themselves in the foot, going left when they should have went right, whatever. But because somebody, probably somebody like Terry Carmichael Jackson, or one of the other Fruit Loops involved with the Players Association, Nike Ogumake.
And look, I get the fatigue some fans feel with how often this league ends up in the headlines for the wrong reasons instead of the basketball. But that's exactly why a channel like this keeps covering it. When a decision this avoidable becomes national news, it's worth talking through. Win-loss record aside, the league's business office needed a marketing win here, and instead handed the internet another "how did they mess this up" cycle.
I sort of want to quit covering it, to be honest, but I would still make a video on this even if I wasn't actually watching games, just because, I mean, when somebody in sports or somebody's does something as stupid as something like this, I'm going to talk about it. By the way, WNBA, that's a lesson for you, even if...
Bottom line, the most viral WNBA moment of the season just got benched by the league's own licensing arm, and the internet noticed immediately. Whether or not you buy the union's reasoning, the timing could not have been worse. Tell me in the comments if you think this gets reversed once the backlash settles. And make sure you're subscribed, because this story isn't done playing out.
Make sure you hit subscribe. Good God. It's a clown show. Literally. From their commissioner down to the majority of their damn players. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.